If there's one thing you can always expect at the University of Georgia, it's that they're going to have elite linebackers. And a big reason why is because of Glenn Schumann, Georgia's defensive coordinator, who has basically been running circles around other linebacker coaches in college football for a long time now. He came with Kirby over to Georgia, so he's been around for 8-9 years now. And from Roquan Smith to Nakobe Dean to Jalen Walker and all in between, Georgia's produced better linebackers over the past 7 to 8 years than anyone in college football. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what you can expect from Glenn Schumann's middle linebacker group this upcoming season, because yeah, they won't have Small Munden, they won't have Jalen Walker, but this is still one of the best inside linebacking cores in college football for the 25 season. And we're going to talk about it. C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, Justin Williams, and the incoming freshmen. There's a lot to like about this group, and I think Glenn Schumann has the potential to maybe produce another Butkus Award winner, maybe sooner than later. He's got 3 already. Roquan, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Walker. The guy just recruits, develops, and produces linebackers better than anyone. They all typically go on to do very good things in the NFL. But here's what Glenn Schumann had to say about his inside linebackers. First off, there's a lot of reading, okay? I'm going to talk about what Glenn Schumann said about his linebacking group, what Kirby said about Glenn Schumann, what Kirby said about the linebackers. This is all the inside linebacker talk, right? That's what this video is. So you're going to have to excuse me a little bit. I'm not the best reader. Kennesaw State grad, don't hold against me. But reading's not my forte, but I'm going to try. I'm going to give it my best. Let's go. So at the Sugar Bowl, someone just asked him a basic general question, how he felt about his inside linebackers. He said, quote, "I'm pleased because they're an incredibly unselfish group. We play different rotations, different packages. They love to see each other succeed. If one of them makes a play, one of the first people to celebrate is his other teammate that's on the field with him or the guy in his room on the sideline. So I've been really pleased with just their love for each other. You want that to happen. I think that room has a brotherhood to it. With that, guys have taken advantage of opportunities as they've all shown up. They've all shown up at different points." And he's right. Jalen Walker, who could play in the middle of the field, he's also an edge guy, can play that outside linebacker role too. Small Munden was banged up through injuries, right? So, even as freshmen, we saw a lot of C.J. Allen, a lot of Raylan Wilson, saw a lot of them this year as well. And it looks like those are going to be the 2 guys. But Chris Cole is a freshman. We've seen a lot. I'm going to talk about him in a second. Justin Williams was the number 1 linebacker in all of high school football in that 24 class. He's out of Texas. He played some this year, but I do think the staff has high expectations for him too. So while it's still a young group, even though C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, those guys will be juniors next year, there's still a lot of young talent. And when someone asked him specifically about that group, Raylan Wilson, C.J. Allen, here's what Glenn had to say. He said they've done a great job in their sophomore years, really growing up in a lot of ways. They've been very vocal. They're great signal callers. They're really serious about how they go about their business. They stood out when they were freshmen because they were trying to get on the field. They haven't been complacent at all. Once they've been on the field, they've been hungrier for more and more every day. They practice really hard. Guys that practice hard generally play well, and they've continued to get better. And everyone gets better under Glenn Schumann. Now, I know guys like Trevin Marshall, Xavier Sori, they've gone on to transfer, right? Jamon Dumas-Johnson, but those guys got better at Georgia. Xavier Sori was a tackling machine down the stretch for Arkansas. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, was productive for a not-so-great Kentucky team. So not everyone is able to succeed at the highest level at Georgia and start and be a superstar and go on to be in the NFL. But everyone who does come in, even if it's for a little bit, a year or two, and they go on to do to play somewhere else, they got better. And Kirby says all the time, he loves to brag on Glenn Schumann. When they do the PowerPoints for high school coaches in the offseason, trying to, get face-to-face with a lot of high school coaches and programs. They bring them in and they learn, go over concepts and stuff. He said Glenn Schumann's the guy that puts it all together, and he is the X's and O's kind of genius defensively, and his resume speaks for itself. I do think the guy will be an NFL coach one day, defensive coordinator, or so on and so on. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. He's incredibly gifted from a football standpoint. His brain is shaped like a football. And the results prove it. And Georgia's defense was outstanding for a lot of the 24 season. Not the whole season, but a lot of it, especially down the stretch. They were really good against Notre Dame, really good against Texas, really good against Tennessee. And they had their struggles, obviously, against Alabama and Georgia Tech for sure. And they weren't their best against the run, and they had some struggles in the secondary. But when they needed to step up in several different games, the defense did their job. And I expect it to be a really good group next year as well. Here's what he said about Chris Cole and Justin Williams. Again, those are the two freshman linebackers this year, both five-star guys. Justin Williams, ranked number 1 in the country from Texas, signed with Georgia. Number 2 is Sammy Brown at Jefferson, who signed with Clemson. And then Chris Cole, number 3 linebacker in the country out of high school. He's from Virginia. He came in and he played more than Justin Williams and made a little bit more of an impact, but they both have very promising futures. Here's what Glenn Schumann had to say on Justin Williams and Chris Cole as a group. He said that freshman groups really mature and they go about their business the right way, which, as I said earlier, nobody gets here without ability, but especially at that position, maturity is so important. And being a pro at a young age, to being able to get on the field because of what's required of that position in terms of making the calls and checking for the defense, whether it's the front or the back end, they've got to take pride in that. So again, these are smart guys. And I spoke with Glenn Schumann during media days, and I asked him, I said, what do you look for in a linebacker when you're out, on the recruiting trail? There's a lot of really good linebackers, especially in the state, but across the country. And Georgia's a place where they go where the best of the best is. They'd like to take the best in Georgia, obviously, because it's a great, talent pool. But at Georgia, they want to find NFL guys, and they don't care where they have to go. Texas, Virginia, Georgia, Florida, it doesn't matter. North Carolina, where Jalen Walker's from. Nakobe Dean is from, Mississippi, right? They'll go all over the place, and it's because these players and these families, they trust Glenn Schumann. And, he loves the fact that Raylan Wilson and C.J. Allen, they're just dogs. That mentality, he said he loved that out of high school. And I'm going to expand more on that in a big story down the road. But he loves that they're smart guys because this can be a very complex defense. And if you're a middle linebacker, you have to be intelligent, not only physical, but you have to be able to do it all and call a defense and make adjustments and, audible at different times depending on what the offense is doing. And C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson can do those things, and they're going to be relied on next year as those two dogs. But he said Chris Cole and Justin Williams, those are smart guys too. They went out and recruited those two because they knew they had the potential to do what it takes physically, but also mentally as well. Very smart kids, and he expanded on that. Here's what Kirby Smart had to say about Chris Cole. He said, number 1, he has tremendous pride in performance, and we rank that as one of the number 1 qualities. A lot of the people rank size, speed, height, weight, and stars. He is self-aware, and he has great pride in performance, and that is the number 1 trait of a winner, of a good athlete, of guys who play as freshmen. And he has size, he could run, but he's really intelligent, and he's very conscious. We've been very impressed with him, the way he's kind of grown up and gotten better, and he's still not there. Listen, I don't know who the next Roquan, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Walker is. It could be C.J. Allen if he takes a massive step forward. It could be Raylan Wilson if he starts to hit his full potential. He's not even anywhere close, I don't think, Raylan Wilson. Those guys should be better next year. It could be Chris Cole in 2 years. It could be Justin Williams in 2 years. Zayden Walker was an elite linebacker out of high school. He'll be one of those freshmen. So the potential is there for one of these guys. I don't know who it is, but one of them has a real opportunity to take a giant step forward and maybe be that type of linebacker. Because as we've seen it, right, Roquan Smith came through. That was really cool. He won the Butkus Award. Georgia's linebacker play was very good. We didn't know how much better it could be. Then that 21 group rolled around, and Nakobe Dean took over, and he became that Roquan Smith type of middle linebacker, running down everything, just smart, physical, instinctive, a tackling machine, right? 3 years later, it happens again with Jalen Walker, who was a little bit different from those guys. He could rush the passer from the edge, but also play in space, just incredibly versatile. But 3 guys, right? And when it happens 3 times in 8 years, right? 7 years, 2017, 7 years, that's a lot of math on the spot. That's tough. You can expect it to possibly happen for a fourth time. Maybe that guy's on the roster, I don't know, but I think this staff is very excited about what they have at the middle linebacker spot, inside linebacker spot. They've got to figure out who's going to rush the passer on the edge, outside linebacker. There's some question marks there, but inside, C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, Justin Williams, etc. That's a group. That should be one of the best groups in all of college football. I expect it to be an outstanding and incredibly productive group next year. That group could lead the defense. We'll see if it happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over on the website.